Welcome, everybody, back here at Veil of Sound. When you are watching this on August 24th, I hope that some of you already have checked out the new record by this fine gentleman over here, because his band, Hundreds of AU, released their fifth full length 2 days prior. So I'm very happy to have Brian Bursey here on the show. Thanks for joining, Brian.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is great. Thank you.
Yeah, it's our pleasure to have you. First, I want to clue up something that I also had to learn. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the AU is for astronomical units, right?
That is totally correct.
And for anybody who is a non-physics nerd, as I am, I don't know shit about sciences. I had to look it up. It's the distance between the Earth and the Sun.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
The average distance between the Earth and the Sun. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll come to the term a little later. But Brian, first thing that we always ask around here is which band, record, or friends project would you pluck? I'll give you a moment because I want to pluck something from Jersey. Um, if anybody would ask me to name the 10 most important American hardcore bands, this one would be among them. Rorschach from Jersey.
Oh yeah.
So
Uh, so you want me to plug a Jersey band?
no, it can be anything.
Oh, it could be anything. Like what I'm listening to right now, or
Yeah, for
like
example, what was the last record you listened to today?
well, I was listening to Dead Kennedys on my way home. But I gotta plug our friends in Kirkby Kiss. They just released a record on the 1st of August,
Mhm.
and it's called Four Color Black. It's their first full length. It's 11 songs. It's they did a great job. My best friend is the bass player in that band. And he and I play in another band as well, which also released a record that day. So it's be a busy month for me. But yeah, so
Sounds like it.
I don't want to plug my other project. I'll rather plug their project. So Kirkby
Well,
Kiss.
if it's lesser minds, then we'll come to it anyway.
Okay, then never mind.
Yeah, by the way, if you want to pick up Life in Parallel, New Hundreds of AU record, it was released on Iodine 2 days ago, and it's a wonderful record. Although I think the word wonderful might be a little wrong in this context. Brian, first of all, I would like to know, and I would like to give back a question that is in your press release. And that question is very interesting because I think there is something to it. How do you explain living in Jersey to people outside?
Uh, you know what? It's so New Jersey like kind of lacks a cultural center the way that some other states have it. And I would say when I say cultural center, I'm absolutely talking about like a metropolitan
Of
urban area. Like New York obviously has New York City, right?
course.
And then like you've been to Georgia, Georgia has Atlanta. New Jersey doesn't really have that. Most of our cities are not in great shape. They're coming around, some of them, through whatever means. But like this everybody's got their own like identity. I mean, there's like North Jersey and South Jersey, and we argue over stupid things. And there's and inside of that, there's other parts of the state as well. Like where I'm from in New Jersey is like the most rural part. It's all farm. It's all mountains, and it's beautiful and it's amazing. I grew up. I spent my childhood here, and it was a great childhood. But like as an adult, like leave the like left the area for a while, came back, but like even just on my day to day stuff, I travel all over the state for my job, and like it's just there's just multiple everybody's living a different life, but like they're so drastically different it feels like when you go from even town to town and not just like county to county or area to area. So that's the way I would describe it. There are high highs and there are low lows. And And then there's just like these other like it's such a cultural melting pot. There's every kind of culture here. We have like a vibrant Indian or East Asian culture. Uh, or yeah, we have Palestinian culture. We have Jewish culture. There are Greeks and Italians, and there's there are all kinds of. I'm Polish. There's a ginormous Polish community. There's several ginormous
Yeah.
Polish communities throughout the state. So all these things kind of come together and then they make things like the Jersey Shore, like that is like, you know,
Yeah,
and
and that's what everybody knows, right? Yeah,
but for better and for worse, right? Like
yeah,
there's great things that I've had some of the best times of my life with my family and my friends down the shore. And I've also met like the worst people I've ever met in my life down there. And you're going to see that wherever you go. I like, I don't know. It's so different, and people know that you're from Jersey. Like I've met people from out of state, obviously, and when I tell them, oh yeah, where are you from? Oh, I'm from New Jersey. Like I knew it. Like there's some chip on your shoulder swagger that
yeah.
we kind of carry with us. Um, Even the most reserved among us have that too, and we're there's just there's just it's a whole thing. It's a whole part of my identity. I love being from New Jersey, and I also hate it sometimes too. So,
It's interesting that you used already like different lives, as you said it. Would you go as far and would you agree with that? Looking at the diversity of the state, one gets the idea of there are a multitude of different lives living in parallel.
yeah. And because, I I grew up here and like I mean, I'm living in the most rural county, which is like um it's not the most diverse county, but like my parents took us all over the place
Mm.
and when they could and like so we had between public school and like just general exposure like you just observe a lot of cultures around you and I was just kind of like oh everywhere's got to be like this, you know what I mean, like yeah there are neighborhoods but like yeah, everywhere's got to be like this where everybody's kind of and it's not. There's like so much separation. Like even when you like we would go visit cousins down in Maryland and see like real disparity there. I lived in
Mm.
Connecticut for a long time, and Connecticut has some of the richest people in the country living there and
Yeah,
some of the worst cities. Like that's you know what I mean? Like and
yeah,
some of the worst poverty that you can imagine.
yeah,
And so I don't know. I like New Jersey. Yeah, there are very rich people here, and there are people who are really struggling. But there's like when I grew up, there was just a very what seemed like a very powerful and outspoken middle class, and the you know one of the things like I'm talking about the album title a little bit, but like give you a perfect example. Like when I was a kid. I don't remember seeing like flags of our politicians everywhere. I
mhm,
don't remember seeing that at all. You would
mhm.
see posters and stuff around election time, and then the election would end,
And they're
and
gone.
the adults would stop talking about it. The adults really only talked about it for like the 2 weeks leading up to it, and we talked about it in school whenever there was a presidential election or a new governor. They would talk. We'd spend the morning talking about it and just talking about and that's like a civics lesson so it made sense to talk about and it would just be over and you would occasionally see some bumper stickers lingering but there was really nothing and politics wasn't just a part of our life all the time and now it's a part of our life all the fucking time and it's not good as things aren't great things and it's been like this since I was in high school. Like I went because that was when September 11th happened. I was a senior in high school. So like I'm just becoming an adult and all these things happen and then the entire world changed. My
Yeah,
childhood completely and totally changed from that
Yeah.
moment. And I didn't know what was happening at the time. And now it's like, what did, and up till that, like you're taught like, oh, if you go to school and you keep yourself out of trouble and don't screw anybody over and work hard, you'll cut out a life for yourself.
Yeah.
And like that's not fucking happening. Sorry, I don't know if I'm
Not
allowed.
any. No, no,
Okay.
no. I
That's not
swear all the
happening
time.
right
Don't
now.
worry.
That's not happening right now.
Yeah.
So like where it's like the life that I should be living, the life that like, I'm thinking in grade school, like, oh, racism is gone.
Yeah.
We're learning about this all the time. Racism is non-existent. It only exists in movies and old movies at that. And I don't by the time I'm adult, like I'll never have to worry about those things. And here we are. You know what I mean?
Of course, that racism thing also is reflected by where you live, because having lived in Atlanta, I was able to see, even though I'm a white person, I was able to see racism happening to, for example, schoolmates of mine. But I know what you mean, and that's similar to what I experienced over here in Germany. Uh, 30 years ago, we all thought that the world has turned for the better. Would you say that your record and also the music of Hundreds of AU is in a way influenced by you being a Jersey band?
Um, I think if I'm being perfectly honest, like I think a lot of the sound, the sound specifically, um, is kind of comes through Tom, who he had just such a huge part in just by way of making like really good music and obviously being a nice enough guy to that like can continually make music and have an audience for it. Um, and he was such an integral part of like building up a scene in like the New Brunswick area and stuff like that. So in that regard, yeah, because like I don't we get lumped into like the screamo category, which is fine with me. I'm fine with it, but I don't think that we sound a lot like your typical screamo band. I think to
Yeah,
me we just sound like we're a hardcore band
yeah,
that's emotive. It's a
yeah,
little bit esoteric, a little bit more angular, and a little bit more like bookish, I guess. Um, and so that's what I hear,
yeah.
and I
Me too.
I like all that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
but like Tom was such a huge part of screamo that like it's gonna it's gonna rub off on it a little bit, which is fine because I've been a fan of Hundreds since the first record came out. That's the first time I heard them. That was when Paul joined the band, and Paul and I have been friends for a really long time. We've known each other since we were in high school, and so he sent it to me. He's like, "Hey man, we just released this," and the first song, I was like, "This is great! Oh my god,
yeah.
this is so great!" And I've been a fan of every, of all the records after. And I so it's just like a thrill for me to be a part of this.
Mhm.
And they've been great. So they've been really great.
You've mentioned the scene. Um, would you say that being a part of the Jersey scene, and especially also the New Brunswick scene, is it like a certain necessity for you as an individual, and maybe also as far as you know for the others in the band, to be a part of that scene in order, for whichever reason, to also step out of all the, well, let's put it clearly, to step out of all the shitty stuff happening in the US at the moment?
Yeah. So I guess because of like, the internet and the way that not just the way bands are able to communicate, but like everybody is able to communicate now. I think scenes are a much broader
Mhm.
sense. You always have your local stuff going on, but like, so the scene that I grew up in, Sussex, New Jersey, it was like, it was a ragtag group of people. And like everybody was supportive of everyone's bands as much as one possibly could be. Like, even if it was stuff that you didn't like you still kind of came out for it and were supportive. So we had one band from around here called Folly that was like hugely influential on me and Paul and I'm sure the other guys too, but like Paul and I were like living in the area when this was happening. And actually so was Buzz, our bass player. He's from Pakong. But so we while that was happening, like Folly was everything. And then they did their thing and they kind of moved on. They finished school and they got into adult life and stuff like that, which is by all means. And then like I mean I got to consider that like around here the scene around here kind of went with them. People weren't really enthusiastic about doing anything anymore. And so like you just kind of got now, all right, well, I'm just kind of gonna jump into the next thing. Like I was always going to shows out of town, but like I didn't have a local scene to kind of depend on to go to anymore. So I just made my way more into the city to go see shows at that point. Um, More down in South Jersey, and like that area. And so yeah, I mean, I don't know that we really can. I mean, we're from New Jersey. We play a lot of Jersey shows, obviously, but like we're just as much in the Albany scene as well because Tom lives up there,
Mhm.
and so we are like, I love what they got going on up there too. And so when we've only played there once, but it felt like a hometown show to me, and it was great. We had a great time, and so yeah, I guess it is super important because that's where like especially now it is a retreat I think in a lot of ways for what's going on in the world. Like I know any show that I'm at, I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but I got a lot of friends that are big, and there's not going to be any like harassment for anybody under any circumstance. And I think a lot of people feel that way, and
Mhm.
that's why I feel confident like that's not going to fly here. We'll remove anybody who needs to be removed, type of thing. I'm not calling for it's not a call for violence. It's just it's just the way it is,
Yeah.
uh, and I think that that's super important. And also, in the last I don't know, let's say the entire time that I've been doing music or been involved in music, like going to shows, like it has always been um like predominantly white males on the stage and white males in the crowd. And now it is completely diverse. And
Which is a good thing.
it is great because I think it's more exciting now as an
Yeah.
adult. It sucks. I'm jealous of these kids because I wish I had this more than what
Mhm.
I um and I'm super jealous of it and it sounds fresh and it
In a
sounds fun.
positive way, before anybody says anything else, like that is a that is the one positive way of jealousy.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's good jealousy. That's like it's envy. It's envy. Um and yeah, and all the music's been fresh. It's been great. I love seeing their enthusiasm and stuff for it. I get bummed out when people who are like, I'm older and people who are on my age and stuff are like, there's no good music anymore. It's like if you're not finding good music, that's because you're not looking.
Exactly.
There is plenty of good music. It does. I don't even care what you like because if you can't, whatever you like, you can find it. It's so
Yeah.
easy.
Nowadays, much easier than before.
And then, so when you drill down on like why they don't like it, it always ends up coming down to like, oh, this woke shit. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
get out of here, man. Get out of here. It's always been like this. It's just now that we're not preaching to ourselves.
Yeah.
And now we get to actually get a conversation and some feedback Excuse me.
No
So,
problem. And also I think when people say like, oh, it's the woke shit, it's not as it was before, I always I always wonder how these people could be part of a hardcore scene and not understand it.
like, what's going on now with trans rights? In I don't know what it's like in Germany, but here it's like a real contentious thing. Like it's a totally politicized thing. There's, they make up like 1/2 of 1% of the population, and they're being accused of like they're like of tearing down the country. It's ridiculous. But like, I remember this fight because I was on the right side of the of like gay marriage,
Yeah,
and I was there. I was very outspoken about that when that was
yeah,
happening. So I know exactly how to fucking do this, and it's never shut the fuck up about it. And don't let anybody say anything. Like, the guys that I worked with, I used to work with, would be like, "Oh my god, these." I'm not going to use the F slur, but
yeah,
like,
yeah.
they're, can you believe this? And then like you just be like, "Why you got to act like that?" Well, you just call it out
Yeah,
right there, and then you make them feel the shame that they deserve, and then
yeah.
they finally come around because now it's weird that now nobody really has a problem with that. They've moved on to the next marginalized group,
Exactly.
and
Yeah, and that's a problem. They
yeah,
always need a new scapegoat. Um, would you agree with me that that is something that hardcore is maybe most important about? Fighting for the underdog.
100%. I you have to have you got to stand on something, and I think that there's room on a lot of things for us to to have discussions about like proper policing and redistribution of wealth and wealth equality and capitalism and whether or not it's sustainable or not. Like we can talk about these things. That we can have a conversation, but there's just lines in the sand that like we got to stand on. And it's
Yeah,
like, we can't be there. There's no room for racism. There's no room for xenophobia. There's no room for homophobia. And like, we're all in we're all
yeah,
in that together here. And I'll be honest with you, if punk and hardcore didn't have those things, they would just be shitty rock and roll because you can't be angry about nothing, and it would just be it would I wouldn't have there's no way I would stay engaged because this is my only access to people who have any sort of similar thinking to what I have. I work with like like right wing dudes, like that's the job that I have. um and I have to. There obviously are some people who think like me in there, but like
mm,
not about a lot, only about a few things, not about everything. And
mhm.
like I can go around and I'm like with it's a tribe. It's a totally
Yeah.
tribe.
That's
It's
a
a
good
totally
word to
tribal
describe it.
experience,
Yes.
and that's what happened, and that's why I get so excited. And it's cultural expression. The culture is more important than the music. It always will be.
Yeah, because let's face it, the roots of hardcore are not very progressive.
No, no, you see some of these older dudes and their rhetoric now, and it's like that's weird that you are like
Yeah.
fat
Johnny
shaming.
Run.
Why are you fat shaming children on Instagram? Why is that
Mm.
okay?
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
Would you then say that when you perform on stage, I mean, like, of course, people who go to a show, they always go, or most of them go for a certain kind of outlet, certain kind of catharsis. Is
mhm,
that also one of the reasons why you still perform on stage and why you still
100.
go to show?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. When I'm playing, like I'm letting it all out there. I'm
Mm.
getting to a point where you know I I'm not getting any younger. Um, and I don't
Who
know,
is?
any sort of injury or life event could happen, and that may change whether or not I can do this anymore.
Mm.
So I sounds corny, but I play every show like it's my last. I play every show like really, really grateful that even anybody shows up. I don't we've played to very small crowds. And we've played to a couple good sized ones since I've been in the band. And I'm grateful for every single one of them. Uh, I do the best I can to give 100%. When I'm, if sometimes I'm a little under the weather, it happens. But I give literally as much as I can, because I don't want to cheat myself
Mm.
out of a good time. That's really it. I could say with one, like every lyric that I write, every like I do that. I do all that for me. That it is for me. I want to feel better about the world we live in. I want to vent to somebody, anybody. I just want somebody to hear what I have to say. And so I'm doing that for me. Um, but like the cool part is that like a lot of these shows we're playing with bands that I like, and people that we're meeting and making new friends and stuff like that. So I'm there for them too. And
Mm.
so it's awesome. So it's like kind of an all around experience.
When you say you write the lyrics, and there is something that I gotta ask, and that is also in a way connected to the diversity and to the dichotomy of life in parallel, living different lifestyles and looking at things from different ways. When I looked at the song titles and when I listened to some of the tracks, I had the feeling as if, first of all, it's less space, more earth. It's much more connected to the present that we live in. Is that something that you could agree on, that the lyrics now are a little bit more based on what we see every day?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. That was actually one of my worries when I was writing them because I didn't, when they put out a bunch of stuff before I came in, and I have really just tried to like when I was there, like they already have a writing process, and I didn't want to put insert myself in a way that would like not be good. You know what I mean? Like would hurt their ability to do what they do. So I um I kind of like sat back and let stuff come to me because they already written a couple songs and I liked them like immediately. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, and they've written a bunch of albums before, and I liked all that. So I'm in a good shape here. What can I control? I can write the lyrics, and I can work really, really, really hard on them, and like not rush them, meet deadlines, be ready, like get like be physically ready, be like mentally ready, and just be open to suggestion because
Yeah.
like all the bands that I've been in before are not as complex as the arrangements that these guys have put
Yeah.
together. So like I needed a lot of coaching for certain parts, and like I just couldn't wrap my head around where I would like put the vocal, and like Tom and John and Buzz and Paul, they were all like very helpful, and that was great because it didn't like I didn't go through any like like rookie phase or anything like that. They were just they were doing the same thing for each other, so I just felt like it was like very communal. Um, so yeah,
And then
I
when looking at the lyrics, I see that there is a certain, I don't want to say dichotomy, but there is a certain contrast because there are tracks that have some very positive ideas and some very positive notions behind them, like Wake Today. But on the other hand, we have tracks that are, I do not want to say negative, but that are very realistic and that are very, yeah, for lack of a better word, negative. Let's look at the track title like Masochist. It sounds as if we have very, very contrasting ideas on those two tracks. Um, Probably because it's a reflection of the world we are living in right now, isn't it?
yeah. You meant Methodist, right?
I think on the promo that I got, I'm looking it up, but I think it was called Masochist. But I'm probably stupid.
It's okay. Um, but I do hear what you're saying. The other thing, like I didn't a lot of these lyrics, um, this record was really written over like a long period of time. We started rehearsing together in January of 24. I would say end of December, beginning of January 24.
Yeah.
And we would like, I think we wrote like three songs for the it was either three or four for the first show, which was in May. And then like we'd write one more and like we worked on one we worked I know we worked on Scorched Earth for a while. And then we were like being playing a bunch of shows. And then so like in that time, like Wait Today was written, not and me kind of like thinking that Donald Trump wasn't not going to win. Like kind of thinking that.
Uh,
Like maybe he wasn't gonna win. And yeah, all that it changed. Um
mm,
so yeah, there was some positive and there's some like I know one of them that's lyrically like feels I mean, I guess maybe the song feels a little bit more positive because it's a little bit airier, but Waves of Piety, like that
yeah.
was me like, oh wow, well, the boomers handed us like dog shit, and I don't know what's gonna be left for the generation that follows. Um it's sort of like, the letter written at the end of the world type of thing. And
Yeah, it is.
and yeah, so that was like it was meant to be positive. Like, hey, I saw all the problems in the world, but we just couldn't fix them. It was like I mean, almost like what was it the David Bowie song Major Tom. Why am I
Yeah,
blanking? Like he's floating in space. Like that's
yeah.
where I feel like we're kind of at now, almost
It's like an
powerless.
apology, isn't it?
It is.
Apology to
Yeah.
future generation.
And I'm the one, I have a daughter. And so, like they, a lot of that stuff when I feel like I'm addressing, like I'm thinking of her
Yeah,
because one of the things that they said that they wanted in a singer was somebody who's going to be themselves. And,
yeah.
this is me now. I'm a dad. And like, I have to think
Changes
about,
everything.
yeah, it does. It changes your perspective very quick. And you start, hopefully people who are having kids or have kids, they can relate. And it's just like, you start thinking about, you get to a point where you start going like, okay, how can I like do something positive? Like how, like that's what I'm thinking. And like just trying to be a positive person in her life is
Yeah,
like
and maybe also
important.
give them something, give not only her something positive, but
Yeah.
more of people of her age. I can
Yeah.
see that. When listening to the record, there is, of course, this is a hundreds of AU record. That is very, very clear. But I have to say that the first track is misleading, my friend, because the first track is like, oh, we have some emo shit going. Sorry for the word.
That's okay.
But and then uh, the next track comes on, and then it's like a totally different thing. It's harsh, it's angular, it's noisy, and it's then one realizes, okay, this is hundreds of AU. Who came up with the idea of putting those two tracks first? Was it a
Um,
conscious idea?
so when we were getting ready to submit or record, we had told Iodine, yeah, we had 8 songs, and that was going to be we were just going to do 8, and they were like, can maybe do 10? They were and so
Not just one more, two.
yeah, and so we were, it didn't. We were okay with 8. Um, Majority of us were okay with 8, and then but like 10 wasn't really hurting anybody either. Okay, we'll write
Yeah.
2 more. And so one of the ones that we well, Tom wrote all of the first song, Life in Parallel. And um Space Odyssey. Why did I forget it was Space Odyssey? Oh my God. Anyway, Wow. Tom wrote Life in Parallel, and it just seemed like a great opener. Like that,
Mhm.
it felt like it really felt like an opener, and so we just kept it there. And I just figured, I think I advocated for Methodist to be track two, um, because I like the way it came in, and I slowly kind of sold uh as best I could, like everybody else on it. And and then when we put the tracks together, we were trying to figure it out. It just seemed like the best one.
Uh, Not trying to be the nerd, but it's Space Oddity. Space
It's
Odyssey is Kubrick.
yes, yes. Sorry, Space
But
Odyssey.
no, no,
No, that's
all
fine.
good, all good. We're
We
both
got
getting old, so
we
we can
got
say
there.
that's the.
Yeah, it's going. It's going.
Um, Let me guess. You have a lot of features on this record. You have Joff from a certain band called First Day. You have probably your dream come true to be on a track with John from Folly. You have two more vocalists. They're all on Life in Parallel, aren't they?
No,
No.
no. So, John, Jeff is on Life in Parallel.
Yeah, that's
Um,
audible.
yeah, and then everybody, all that other singing is me and the rest of the band,
Okay.
which was kind of fun actually.
Yeah.
Um, actually,
Beach Boys.
I finished vocals that day, and then they went and did that, and I just kind of got to sit back and watch them do it, and it was it was fun to be on the other side of the vocal booth. Um,
Yeah, I can imagine.
the let's see, John sings on Blue Jay.
Mhm.
That was a song written about my daughter, and he also has daughters of his own, and we kind of like lament to each other when it's doing dad times are tough. So it felt right that I had him on there, and that was actually the second of the two songs that we wrote to add on to the original mix.
Okay.
Um, Ryan Slauson from Sanagi and Closer.
Closer.
He is the spoken word part that starts Waves of Piety.
Mhm.
And Adam Kniper, who plays in Stress Bells, he played the electric organ in the beginning of that
Oh,
song and at the end.
okay.
So that's our.
Cool.
So there's more on the end than there is in the beginning.
Yeah, it's just because you hear the choir, let's put it like that, at the beginning of Life in Parallel or in Life in Parallel, and you're like, okay, that must be the four people. Um,
I hope they know that we haven't played that live yet. I hope they know they all got to do that.
yeah, I'm not sure how your bandmates will feel about that.
Uh,
There
Find out.
there are two more questions that I have before we come to the quickfire round at the end. One of them is very easy. Um, I mean, like you and Buzz joined the band a little while ago,
Mhm.
and now Hundreds of AU is back to being a quintet. How did the five of you achieve a sound that is, sorry for lack of this expression, tight as fuck?
um, well, so I think, like I mentioned, Tom lives in Albany,
Yeah,
and our drummer
and that's
John.
why I was wondering. I felt like, okay, that's probably not going to be rehearsals every week.
No, and John lives down in, I think he lives in Keyport. And so yeah, that's like an hour and a half away, and Tom's like 2.5 hours away. So when we get together, it's for 4 hours, and in those 4 hours, we are working. And that's really it. I think we just really took advantage of our time whenever we
Mhm.
rehearsed to go through all that, and then I think we, as a band, everybody takes live shows pretty seriously, which as a band you should.
Yeah.
Um, I've been in bands that don't think that that's important, and I wouldn't stay in a band like that for very long. Or a band like that doesn't even last long. Um,
Especially
so
in the hardcore scene.
especially in the hardcore scene, if you're not going to show out, then don't show up.
Yeah, true.
Um, so yeah, I mean, between rehearsing and then like playing shows and then coming back and rehearsing again, we really got a feel for the songs, like in the writing stage, in the playing stage, in the rehearsing stage. So the recording stage came together, and it just all came together like that. And these guys work really hard. Like they labor over a lot of things, like sounds and tones, and how many times we're playing this, and what everybody's doing. Like everybody is really knows kind of like what's going on with everybody else, and
Yeah,
uh, and that I think adds to it, because like nobody wants to step on each other, and everybody's got their own space, and it works for us. And I can't say enough about how with this record, like I got a really good seat watching John do drums, and I basically watched him do all his takes, because where I was sitting, I couldn't see the other guys, but I had a full view of John, and he really put us in awe a few times. The engineer is a guy named Joe Egan. His brother is one of my best friends, and there was a couple songs where, well, I know one Scorched Earth was one of them, where John like went through the first take and it was pretty good, and then he did the second take and it was what you hear, and it was
wow.
perfect. And Joe, as soon as he was done, he's like, he doesn't need to do another take. He's fine. He's good. He's like, that this is a wrap. That's perfect. And I was like, yeah. And I was just in awe of it, because I don't typically I watch John, but I don't watch him for the entire duration of the song anytime we
Yeah,
play live or in practice. So he worked his ass off. He was rehearsing the songs in his, practicing them constantly. And like Buzz is just as studious as he is. Like he's got notes, he's writing everything down, he's got sheet music and all that stuff. Tom and Paul, they labor over, they really pick themselves apart, and sometimes beat themselves up, not each other up, but they beat themselves up over stuff. And it's like, to see them work that hard, like I also needed to work that hard. And I worked very, very hard on the lyrics. I tried to come to practice as ready to I screamed a lot of these songs into a pillow at home to get like the rhythms right, and then like to just get like at least like 90% of the way there, and then work the rest out, so we didn't have to labor over it too much. And yeah, so everybody just worked their asses off for this.
yeah, and to put it like that, I mean, like both of us know hardcore bands who exchange musicians, and all of a sudden there is a certain change in sound, and also sometimes a change in quality. And it takes a little while for them to get accustomed to like the new lineup and stuff like that. With this record, I didn't have a feeling of that at all. I listened to it and I was like, okay, that is hundreds of AU. Yes, the new vocalist, but it's still tight as hell. And there are moments on the record, I have forgotten which track it is, but there is one track where you every once so often hear a single note being played on the guitar, a very high pitched note. And you're like, wow, this is like, that's not math core, but this is like a math rock element in it, which is
Mm-hmm.
also done to perfection. And I was like, okay, that is really, really well done. And so that I cannot compliment you enough on that record.
Thank you so much.
Last question. And here, as I promised, we come back to your other band, Lesser Minds. And, we both would see this cover of a cover song. And, we see somebody sitting on the stairs on the arms, and everybody, of course, recognizes, okay, this is a minor threat cover of a
Right.
cover. And it's also filler, so it's also a cover of a minor threat song. Now, my question, you did this with Lesser Mind. If you could choose any other hardcore song to cover with hundreds of AU, which one would it be? I also have a choice, but I'll let you go first.
Ooh. Well, hundreds of you covering a hardcore song.
Yes.
Mm.
Want to hear mine first?
Yes.
Bad brains. Eye against eye.
You never get it. Tom is not a Bad Brains fan. And I can say that because he said it in another podcast. So I learned that from another podcast. Uh,
I can see why. There are things about the band, and yes, I can see that. But that track is I that would be. But you go.
any era or just 80s?
Any era, any local scene, anything.
I would
It
do
must it just must be a hardcore track.
um I would do 108, Killer of the Soul,
Ooh.
because I know so one of the songs the um on Life in Parallel is called Bloodthirsty.
Yeah.
And that song was one of the first ones that we like wrote and worked on together.
Mhm.
And like Tom and I were like texting one day and he's like, "Hey, you're vegan. I'm vegan. Now we can write like a vegan song." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So in my head, let's write a militant vegan song. So that's what I did. And and one of the jokes I had was, I'm like, well, we could play. I'm like, or we can show up and just start playing Killer of the Soul and see if the other guys notice. And I got a chuckle out of him for that. But yeah, so that's that. I know Tom's a big 108 fan. I'm a huge 108 fan. And I'm pretty sure Buzz is as well. So I think I convinced the other guys that like Killer of the Soul is pretty sweet, and like I know Paul would like it because it's got like a sick groove in it. So yeah, that I think that would be an easy. I think that would be the easiest 108 song to sell.
Yeah, you give me an easy link. If anybody wants to know what Rob Fish is up to outside of 108 nowadays, that he lives a very good life on the West Coast.
He does.
Go back a year and watch our interview with Rob. One of for me, for the old hardcore kid in me, one of the most important interviews that I've done in all of this year.
I love Rob. I've seen like 108 once, but like I became like internet friends with him, and he when we put Scorched Earth up, he sent a message to me and Tom, and was like, "Yo, it sounds great, congratulations!" Like, and then like I text back, "Oh, dude, thanks, that means so much," and then like, but it's Rob, and I love 108, so I was like. Like I got so excited. I showed my wife, like I showed all my friends.
And let me guess, your wife is like, well, it's just another white guy.
It's hit or miss with her, but she was like, "Oh, well, 108, that's a big like." I had an old zine, not old zine. I was doing a zine a couple years ago, and I interviewed. I'm a massive Integrity fan. And I interviewed Dwid because he was playing in Connecticut. And, I messaged him before. I was like, "Hey, it's cool if we meet up and do an interview." And, like, when I was leaving for the show, she's like, "It's a big deal for you, huh?" I'm like, "I didn't think you like Integrity." She's like, "I don't, but you do. And we're going to go talk to this guy." I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty awesome." So, yeah, I get, like, and the same, like, and he was great, obviously. But the same, like, excitement that I had, like, mutual between the two.
So, Brian, first of all, thanks for all the insight into your new band and also into Hundreds of AU's new record. Thanks for the music, first of all. Everybody remember, check it out. It was released 2 days ago. But, of course, nobody leaves a well-found interview without going for the infamous quickfire round at the end. I will not explain it again because every once in a while I don't. So you'll just get a couple of Jersey-related couples.
Oh, no.
And I looked them all up. They're either all from Jersey, or if it's a singular artist, they were all born in Jersey.
Okay.
So I'll start with a couple that some might not associate with Jersey. I'll give you some hip hop. Redman, who was with the Death Squad, versus, and I looked it up, Ice-T.
I like Redman better.
Then let's go to the emo side of things. And I'll give you Lifetime versus Saves the Day.
Lifetime.
As a band, I would agree when it comes to the most sarcastic track in hardcore, maybe ever, I would choose Saves the Day because At Your Funeral is just
It's pretty.
wonderful. And even my daughter loves it until she understood what it's about.
Yeah.
Um, Two women that were born in Jersey, Patti Smith versus Debbie Harry.
Debbie Harry, no question. My dad, he was a kid when Blondie like blew up, and so obviously he was like, I think he was like 17 or 18 years old or something like that. And so he became for the obvious reason. Debbie Harry was,
Yeah, we don't have to. Yeah.
but like so beautiful, and so but like we had Blondie on, and my mom was a big Blondie fan too. So like we had Blondie on in the house all the time. I love Blondie. I grew up on Blondie.
Um, Same era. The two frontmen of those two bands were born in Jersey. So I'll give you Television versus the Misfits.
Misfits.
Mhm.
Misfits, but I love Television too. But I'm a diehard Misfits fan.
Mhm. Let's go to some chaos. The number 12 Looks Like You versus Dillinger Escape Plan.
Dillinger Escape Plan. Crazy, was some of the craziest shows I've ever been to.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen them a couple of times, and I'm lucky to have seen them outplay System of a Down. And everybody in the crowd who didn't know Dillinger, they were like, "What the heck is that?
Yeah.
When comes the chorus?" Some I don't know why I chose those two bands, but I'll give you Skid Row versus Monster Magnet.
I'll take Monster Magnet.
Mm-hmm.
Because Skid Row has a song that
Sebastian
I
Bach.
like. I like a Skid Row song and I like a Monster Magnet song, but homie from Monster Magnet is in Dead Guy. So
Two Jersey indie rock bands, The Smithereens versus Yola Tango. That is easy for me.
I'll go with the Smithereens.
I would go with Yola Tango anytime.
Okay.
Let's turn to some pop music. Fun versus Halsey.
Halsey's from Jersey?
Yes, she is.
I'll take Halsey.
Gaslight Anthem versus Census Fail.
Gaslight Anthem.
My Chemical Romance versus The Bouncing Souls.
Bouncing Souls.
I have two more. Let's go to thrash metal. Overkill versus Hades.
I didn't even know Overkill's from New Jersey. Overkill.
And the last one, the obvious one, if one talks about Jersey music. John Bon Jovi versus Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen, hands down, no question.
If you had said Joe Bon Jovi, I wouldn't release this interview.
I wouldn't. Yeah, me neither. Bon Jovi. I never dug it. Never liked it.
Well, I have to say, I was dragged into a Bon Jovi show like 20 years ago by one of my best friends who had won 2 tickets to the show, and she said like, "Oh, come, please come. You visit me in Munich for a week, and in the middle we'll go to Bon Jovi show." I'm like, show wise, entertainment wise, that is perfect. But I mean, like, if you now see Bon Jovi and he looks like Ellen DeGeneres, like, where's the grid? Brian, thanks for your time. Thanks for all the cool answers, for the great quickfire round at the end. And as I've said it before, but for the great music, everybody, please check out Life in Parallel, released 2 days ago on Iodine Records. So shout out to them for once again having a very good choice. And your choice or your chance for final last words.
Oh, dude, just want to say thank you so much for having me. do this. The lightning round was totally fun. How much we were only off on what? Yo La Tenga and
Well,
who
we
did
were holding
that?
off on a few, but Yola Tango is the one. I mean, like, I never was a big fan of indie rock in the 90s,
Mm,
but Yola Tango was always something that I liked. Yola Tango and Low were my two.
okay, okay. But yeah, just thanks to everybody for if you get a chance to check it out and you like it, thank you so much for listening. Even if you don't like it, thank you for checking it out. And yeah, um, no kings ever again. That's it. That's all I got.
Yes.